Kirby 64 was one of my most favorite N64 games growing up. I loved wandering aimlessly around the levels and mixing copy abilities. The combinations seemed so endless back then. Because I was a dumb kid, I never ended up collecting all the shards, but I also never got the chance to, because some forgotten individual from my past would end up stealing my copy, or maybe I could have forgotten it and left it at their house during a visit. But let's forget about all that and go back to the copy abilities. The big appeal for this new Kirby adventure was that you could combine two abilities together to make a new one. These come in many forms, like a badass laser sword, or a humble Energy Star certified fridge. You use these abilities to hack your way through the fierce, demonic creatures that stand in your way. But what if Kirby was just a normal guy and wasn't able to copy anything? Would it be possible to complete the game without using any abilities? The short answer is mostly yes, depending if you count beating the game without getting all the shards for the bad ending. For my own curiosity, I went through the whole game where I played Kirby as is. It was certainly a different experience with many interesting moments.
I was trying not to get in your... He jumped over that? Watch this. Yeah, see, like that. You throw him in, all three of the guys go. I don't think he's ready for the poop star. We have to destroy him.
But the main thing you gotta be concerned about are the boss battles. And it slipped my mind that Kirby games set you up for success by giving each boss an attack that leaves some type of weapon or debris behind that you can use against them, just in case you go in without any abilities. So I finished what I could and defeated Miracle Matter, and while victorious, it still felt like I was forgetting something. Throughout my playthrough, I never really considered another option for a challenge run, like completing the game with the worst ability. But were there any bad abilities in this game? From what I recall, they're all pretty good in their own unique ways. That is, until I was reminded by my chat of a little ability called Burning Ice. By mixing fire and ice together, Kirby will gain the magnificent power of turning into an ice cube, and melt really fast with steam coming out of the top. The damage is all done with the steam, and has an awful hitbox and attack radius. It's laughably bad, and the perfect candidate to see if you can beat Kirby 64 the Crystal Shards only using Burning Ice. For this challenge, I'm going to try and complete the entire game only using the Burning Ice ability, but there's a slight issue before we can begin. You can't get Burning Ice until after you've done a boss fight that's not replayable. Thankfully, a tool long forgotten that was forged by the gods of yesterday called the Game Shark can allow me to start with any ability in the game that I want. One last thing before we get started. Kirby 64 is a very simple game, and most levels are short. To keep from getting too repetitive, I'm going to summarize this run as best as I can, while highlighting all the notable moments. Our adventure begins with Kirby gazing upon the night sky until a fairy named Ribbon crashes into him, followed by a crystal shard. Ribbon wakes up, and the two combine their shards together. Then they embark on a quest to find them all to restore order to Ribbon's home planet. The first area we have to explore is Popstar, and none of its inhabitants could keep from melting away due to the might of my steam. Entering the log cabin, we have our first mini-boss, which is this giant enemy called NZ, who should best change their name to Easy, because I was in and out of this fight in a matter of seconds. Following that, I ended more of the nearby locals, and had my first major boss battle with a possessed Waddle Dee, who turns into a Waddle Doo. Waddle Doo had some pitiful attacks, but it was no match for my steam. The exorcism of Waddle Dee was a success, and he joins us on our quest for the shards. We venture into the woods, where I platformed a bit, and then I hitched a ride with Waddle Dee on this log lift. I jumped off near the end of the ride for a hidden shard, and nearly lost my first life.
Ooh. God, I almost didn't make it.
I plunged downward inside this tree for a boss battle with a giant bouncy, and yes, that's what it's called. It tried to confuse me with its bouncing, but I defeated it and was rewarded another shard, and a spooky cutscene of the next boss fight with Adeline.
Oh, that's the crystal shard of infinite darkness.
She's a painter, and starts by sending cannon fodder enemies my way, along with this thing. After clearing the first wave of enemies, we get these beefier ones. The ice dragon only took 1 health away, but the dark matter was a different story. This guy is flying all around, making it hard to land an attack. I couldn't quite reach it while on the ground, so I tried gently jumping to get the steam closer. It worked, though it cost me almost all my health. After defeating dark matter, Adeline came at me with a last-ditch attack.
I died from that. The last time I jumped and it was a one-hit kill. Not fair. Not cool.
Wow, I cannot believe that got me. In my previous playthrough, I jumped and that took her out. But I suppose it's just a good time to show you all how BS this team's hitbox is, because she definitely ran right into it. I had a much better fight on my next try, and steamed the curse out of Adeline's pores. She also joins up with us, and together we move on to the next level. We storm a castle with our spicy ice, and come across a shard that we unfortunately can't reach.
Oh, if only.
To make up for this disappointment, Adeline whips us up a maximum tomato, and after reaching the top of the castle, we find Dedede, who's come across a crystal shard, and is the next victim of possession. I had him on the rope since he was just standing there, but it was all a trick. Then I just kinda tanked 2 attacks for no reason. After finishing his first phase, he floats in the air on the second. Because of this, I was able to keep my distance, and knock the evil spirits out of him in 3 hits. Dedede didn't like being humbled by my sick ability, but he decides to join us anyway. And now we have a full picnic at the end of each level. To close out Popstar, we have a boss fight. And like most Kirby games, the first boss is against Wispy Woods, this time joined by his offspring. These stumplings can straight up bully you with their little walk cycle, all because you can't move while attacking. They're constantly trotting around and will occasionally stop to exhale, leaving them open for an attack. I didn't put that together immediately, so my first fight was a loss. I got it down on the next try and snuck in some attacks while they had their backs turned. When they're gone, Wispy will mourn and send out his large pointy roots at you. They're easy to dodge and hit, so this second phase didn't take long.
The first boss has been defeated by the power of ice and fire, both together.
When they're together, they're better than ever.
With Wispy defeated, I can now venture to the Rockstar. This is where everything will start to speed up a bit. The Popstar had boss fights throughout the middle and end of each level, but now that we have our whole crew assembled, the game starts to dial a bit back on that. In the first level, I walked around as I normally did, steaming up the creeps and goons out of my way, until I came across these cool guys. I spared them and entered Squidward's house, found another lone shard, and after a quick battle with a large cacti because it just bounced in place, I entered this room where the sand starts to rise, and I'm immediately reminded of all the times I died here as a kid. I managed to survive in my adult years and finished the level no sweat. The rest of the Rockstar was more platforming than anything else.
That was a sick double kill, hell yeah. I tried to do a jump shot and get the ghost, but that did not work. Don't touch these. I remember what happened last time with that too. I don't trust that. That's why I don't trust it!
But I did discover that my ability goes slower underwater. That information will be important later. In the 4th and final level, I had a short run-in with the Spark Guy boss at the end.
So I gotta get a little close. Ow. A little close. Ow.
By sticking to its side without touching it, I was able to take it down and prepared for the next boss battle. It's called Pix, and takes the form of 3 octahedrons. They'll slowly appear one by one while you move up this tower, and you have to dodge their attacks. You can start attacking them when you reach the top, and my steam did not do a whole lot of damage this time around, since I took a few hits on the way up and another that I didn't expect.
That hurt me?
I kinda just accepted my fate. Re-entering the fight, I made it to the top again with a few scratches, and then proceeded to lay down the law on these shapes.
What a fool. Took too much time thinking. You should have been thinking of a way to defend yourself from the ice and fire.
After collecting another well-earned shard, the Stardust Crusaders walk around the sands of Egypt and stop to take a lunch break consisting of acrylic and lead-based food. When out of nowhere, a portal opens up, leading them to the Aqua Star, and it begins with one of the best musical tracks in the whole game.
Here we go. The real music.
While rocking out, I found this very scared penguin called Emp and tried to create a moment out of him.
You can't escape. Oh, jeez. Let's try that again. You can't escape! Oh no! Oh my god!
A little further into this cave, a moment would be made out of me thanks to this Yariko.
What? Oh my god.
With only 1 piece of health left, I felt the nerves walking into the next area, especially because it's a boss fight against these ticks. But I quickly realized that I had the upper hand in this fight.
I think we can just cook this guy right here. You literally just get him... I was gonna make a butt joke, but I got really scared.
I got to do the same thing to this giant canny, and after I cooked that crab to perfection, Waddle Dee and I took a tandem ride down the river, where I'd also find a shard right after we jumped ship. In the next level, I ventured down this hole into a cave, where I faced another giant enemy, this time being a Kapar. We hit each other back and forth, and while I won, Kapar would end up getting the last laugh.
Wait. It just disappears? Was it not right there? Or was I crazy?
I may have been low on shards and health, but that didn't mean my cheese was stacked any lower.
Sorry, that was the money calling. I need to pick up. Yeah, I'm stacking paper. Yeah, I have a retirement account. They're just making sure I'm still rich. Turns out I am.
While continuing through the underwater trenches, I found another shard that was ripe for the pickings, or so I thought.
No, Kirby, you jumped too high!
Leaving yet another shard behind, I got through the rest of the stage and entered the giant blowfish boss battle, and slept with the fishes in seconds. After coming to, I tried to devise a plan to defeat this fish. You see, it swims around counterclockwise while you move in the opposite direction. I had a bit of a hard time with this one since it's such a big target and I couldn't just camp anywhere for my attacks. But on my third attempt, I got a 2-for-1 special since my attack lasts longer in the water. Thanks to that, I finished off the fish and avoided the rocks to the end of the level and onto the acro boss fight. This is where the difficulty ramped up from 0 to 100 real quick. At the start of the fight, Acro will move backwards, which makes him kinda difficult to hit. He'll stop when he reaches a wall, and you can land a couple of good smokes in if you're properly aligned. And you better hope that you land as many hits as you can, because his attacks involve a lot of movement. I found it best to either attack while he stopped, or underneath him around this spot while he's moving. While I was able to get through the first phase, the second is an auto-scroller where he's at the bottom of the screen shooting attacks at you and constantly moving around. This really complicates things, because you're a sitting duck when using your attack, and Acro is either going to land a hit on you, or you run the risk of falling out of the screen and dying. This fight gave me a lot more trouble than I thought it would, and even resulted in my first game over. Timing and placement was everything. You gotta learn Acro's moves, especially in the second phase. But even if you do, you're bound to still take a couple of hits. Eventually, we were both down to the wire, each with a pinch of health left.
Oh my god, 1 hit! Oh, holy sh! We did it! Oh my god, okay.
That win was so lucky. Acro literally had to have taken damage in the last frame of my attack. Otherwise, he definitely would have hit me. My reward is another shard, and a cutscene that moves us on to the Neo Star. Now, I gotta be perfectly honest with you, as far as the levels go, the Neo Star was a bit tame. If there's anything I have to say, it's that I forgot that these platforms here spell out Kirby, and that I have no idea how this pizza puzzle was supposed to play out. Everything was going smooth until I reached Magman. The Arco fight was nothing compared to this. In Magman's first phase, he'll send out extensions of his lava, which you have to hit to deal damage. The problem with this is that there's really only one attack where you can kinda deal damage safely, and that's when these lava tentacles come out and curve back into the lava. As far as I know, there isn't any way to tell where the tentacles will curve, but you can usually get 2 hits in when this attack happens. And if you try to deal damage with any other attack cycle, you're destined to get hit, miss, or both. If you can manage to get through this first phase, then may God have mercy on your soul for the second. Magman takes the fight elsewhere, and the only place you can hit him is his face. You won't get any attacks in while close on the floor, so you have to jump into the air to attack, which means you're likely going to take a hit each time you do this, since you'll fall into Magman's body afterward. With good timing, you can get 2 hits in with invincibility frames, but this is not as easy as it sounds. This phase literally has no good openings for a safe attack, and it seemed like the only way to have a shot at defeating him was by entering the second phase with a full bar of health. In order to do that, I had to get creative and find other ways to damage Magman in the first phase. Something I found when he sends out the 3 lava pillars is that you can get a hit in without taking any damage if you time your attack just right while they're sinking.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay, that's good.
Though this was fairly difficult to pull off. I also discovered that if you're on the edge of these platforms when the lava shoots up, and position yourself on the edge of the platform next to the one that's about to rise, you can sometimes get an attack in, though this is even harder to do than the last method. Finally, on the occasions where these lava tentacles don't try to cave in on you, you can get away with 2 attacks without taking any damage. Even with all these new methods of attack, the second phase was still a pain in the ass.
Oh, oh my stars and garters.
It took nearly an hour to get all this down, and it got to a point where I'd quit out of a run if I took more than one hit before the second phase. I feel like just talking about this fight doesn't do it justice, so let me show you a time where I got to the second phase with max health, just so you can get an uncut experience of how insanely dumb this fight is.
No! Okay, no! I know he's gonna do that. Oh dear. Oh no. This one's for my friends. Yay! Oh! Get you mother...
And there you have it. The beast has been tamed. So far, this was the hardest part of this run by a mile. While it was frustrating to say the least, I kinda like how it forced me to think outside the box and utilize the Burning Ice ability to its fullest. Exiting the Neo Star, we shiver our timbers at the Shivered Star. Again, not much to write home about here, aside from the sick mall level. The major boss of the Shiver Star is HRH, a giant robot that transforms into a ship. The first phase was challenging until I realized that you can bait its slap attack by standing in the middle of it, making it an easy target. The second phase was interesting. You have to hit the nose of the ship, which you can do by standing under it, but the steam didn't always land where I needed it to, which caused some frustration. Though, looking on it now, I think I needed to be a little closer to the nose, and that's why my attacks weren't landing. HRH was quickly headed to the scrap heap, and I was on to the sixth and final level, the Ripple Star. This is one of, if not the shortest star in the whole game. You start by running through the Joyful Lands, making your way into the Cursed Castle, where you have to fight off waves of every basic enemy that you've come across on your adventure. It's super simple, and unfortunately, the end of the road for this challenge run. You see, when you reach the end boss, Miracle Matter, it'll change into different elements and types throughout the fight, and you can only inflict damage with an ability that matches it, so that only leaves 2 formations that can be taken down before the run officially dies. For the hell of it, I decided to take on Miracle Matter anyway, and used my Burning Ice to defeat its ice and fire forms, before ditching it and finishing it off the normal way. Fire and ice were pretty easy to get rid of, since the fire just kinda sits in one place for a while, and the ice will travel low enough to land multiple attacks. The rest of the fight wasn't too difficult, though I had some trouble with the dark and electric forms, since their attacks just fly around everywhere. But the Miracle Matter would be defeated and the day saved. Well, not quite yet. If you collect all the crystal shards and beat Miracle Matter, you'll get access to the true final boss against 02. And no, not that one. But how did I get all the crystal shards if you can't access them all with Burning Ice? Well, that's for me to know, and it definitely wasn't with the help of the Game Shark, so how about mind your business? I had never faced 02 up until now, and it didn't feel like my attacks were doing anything, but you gotta strike its eye 30 times, and then its halo 10 times, and then the bandage on its head. After all that, you can inflict damage by attacking this green growth underneath. That takes 60 hits, and it also deals out some green gas that's tough to avoid. To make the fight easier, you can take out these red wings to make 02 slower, and apparently doing this will also just let you attack the halo instead of shooting its eye 30 times, but I never figured that out. It only took a few tries, and I was able to defeat the true demonic evil that plagued the Ripple Star and Fairy Queen. After watching a wholesome cutscene, the credits began to roll, and I proved that you cannot beat Kirby 64 the Crystal Shards only using Burning Ice. Thank you all so much for watching. While it was unfortunate that this run was doomed from the start, it was cool taking Burning Ice farther than it was probably ever supposed to go. And if you ask me, the real final boss was against Magman. Figuring out how to win really made this run worth it. And that's really what the core of this challenge came down to. Burning Ice is pretty much completely useless, but it also didn't add much difficulty throughout the levels. Sure, there were some annoying enemies here and there, but you're reliant more on platforming, rather than how well you can melt the skin off of the enemy's bones. Still, I hope you enjoyed a break from the norm with this silly little challenge run. It was also just nice to revisit this game after so long. I forgot how short it was. A casual playthrough wouldn't take more than a few hours, if that. Games just seemed so much longer when you were a kid. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Also, I stream all of my challenge runs live on my Twitch channel and here on YouTube. If you'd like to check that out, be sure to subscribe or follow me on Twitch. The link to my Twitch channel, along with links to my other social media accounts, can be found in the description. If there's a challenge run you'd like to see, you can also check out the description for a direct link where you can submit your ideas. Thanks again for watching, everyone. See you in the next video.
I want to see my cards. Look at all the cards we got.